And I wonder if you take a little time to think about it yourselves, if you can arrive to the same conclusion as we did last year, which was that this question is like a magic key that opens up the doors to the most intimate places of an individual's inner life. And what was important for us was not to observe the answer to this question, but rather, as researchers, the phenomenon that takes place when an individual asks themselves such a deep question. Because of course, if we just look at the answer, young people, myself included, and probably most of us here just have one answer, which is that they want to be happy, right? But what they told us, and what we found most interesting, is that they are experiencing a clash between what they want and what is expected of them. Or in other words, the voice of their own impulses, their own motivations, their own wishes, their own desires, and what the social order expects from them. And we found out, or they told us, that there are 3 ways in which one can confront this tension in this age gap. Remember, we are talking about 21 to 30 years old. And these people in this clash or this tension approach this situation in 3 different ways. We have the first type, or the first mode of approaching it, which is by carrying out exactly what they want. Now, these are people that know exactly where they want to be. They're already on their way, and nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to stop them from getting to where they want to be. On the other side, we have people who also know what they want, but they are likely to postpone their wish for what others suggest or what their environment believes is failure or success. And in the middle, we have a very interesting phenomenon, which is these people who are still searching for what they want to do. And so they are malleable and sensitive to their environments. They are constantly moving, experimenting, and exploring. So, like my colleagues here have said today, I guess that the main thing that we take from that is that not all young people are the same. But I guess what I want to leave you with, which is perhaps a little bit different, is that it's not about the time they were born in, but rather how they confront this clash, this tension that they are living through, that probably defines them more today than anything else. And then we go on to what they told us that was most important for them, and every single person that we talked to defined these 4 pillars as the core support of their entire existence: occupation, education, family, and relationship. And let's start in chronological order so that you get a better idea of how young people got to where they are today. So, family. We asked them what role their parents had played in their lives. 50% of them, of this generation, view both their parents as an impulse. Impulse, by impulse we mean, in the Spanish, un impulso, a springboard, people that were behind them, a driving force in the discovery of their talents. The other 50%, however, see at least one of their parents or both their parents as an obstacle. And I know this is also a humongous data slide, but when we ask those who feel that both parents were a support system for them, whether their parents had helped them discover what they want to do with their life, only 23% of them, around that, feel that their parents were those people that helped them discover what they want to do. And we call this the crucial subject for parents to take on today and in the future, to become that driving force that supports their children and young people in general to really realize what it is that they are here for. And then, from this situation, they move on to their second home, which is education. And things are not much different here. I'm going to ask you to concentrate on the purple, the dark purple areas. And here the question was whether, if they felt that secondary education had helped them discover their best talents. And as you can see, the only ones, let's see if I can do this, yes. The ones that felt most positive about the answer were those in vocational training, those that had engaged in vocational courses or vocational colleges, whilst the one evaluating earlier secondary experiences and university are a bit lower. And because people are very interested about the situation with universities today, I thought I would bring you this slide, which is the responses that currently employed young people gave to the same question. And we can see that those who love their job today value university higher. And I think from there we can take that this is really the first time when young people are asked to make decisions and they are kind of playing their game. When we look at occupation, which I think is the area that will be of most value to you today, we have to take into consideration what came before. And this is just a breakdown so that you have it clear in your minds that we're talking about Spanish people today, Spanish young people, of what their situation is in terms of work and income. And what we found is that 23% of young people in Spain, this is about 5 million of the population between 21 and 30, are students or engaged in occupations that don't bring them income. So we call it without income generating activity. Whereas about 63% of them are engaged in an income generating activity that either allows them to be financially independent or semi-dependent financially. And just 13%, this is important to understand, are completely unemployed. And by unemployed, we mean they do nothing. They are not engaged in any kind of activity. So, with that in mind, we asked ourselves the question which seems to concern Spanish society today. Do young people want to leave the country because they don't feel comfortable here? And I'm just going to ask you to look at this area here, which is the answers no and maybe. People, without a doubt, we can say that young people today are not contemplating as a priority leaving the country. However, if we concentrate on those who are employed and don't like their job, they are the highest ones considering leaving the country today. Self-employment. This is another area that we associate this millennial or young people generation with. And what we found out is that when they were asked to describe what their current situation today was like, 60% of them told us that they were currently employed by a company or a private business. Already, I think this changes our perspective of young business owners and entrepreneurs. But even more interesting, when asked to project themselves 5 years from now, we found out that still 60% of them see themselves working for a business or a private company, and about 24% want to be engaged in the public sector. And I don't have the answer for this, but I just want to leave it as an open question for you. Is it possible that this generation who are incredibly critical about the public sector want to be engaged in the future in this area so that we can reshape it and change it? Let's move on. Only a quarter of young people in Spain are today considering entrepreneurship as a professional option. And finally, I just want to leave you with for me, this amazing information about what young people value the highest in their lives, and I think Juanjo has already mentioned it. 90% of people aged to 21 to 30 in Spain today value having good friends more than living in a couple or having children. And in the words of an interviewee herself, she said, "Where there is a friend, there is a port, and this is a place from where to start new adventures." So what we can take from this is that anything that separates or moves young people away from their relationships is experienced as a defeat. A young interviewee gave us his definition of a precarious life as one in which you work in something that you're not passionate about and which distances you from the people important to you. We call this the me-we phenomenon, the exchange that takes place between I and us. And for you today, if businesses offer opportunities that young people are not passionate about and force them to move away from their relationships, it's going to be virtually impossible to attract the talent of this generation and keep a hold of it. And it's going to become more and more difficult to find young, educated people with enthusiasm who will be ready to resign and accept that this is all there is. And this is because they're asking themselves, what do I want to do with my life? And that places them at the center of their universe, confronting and acknowledging that there is a clash between what they want, what they are here to do, and what the rest of us expect from them. And with that, thank you so much If you're interested in the results, which I think you would love, and the film documentary, you can go on the website and have another look. So